Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about lines and then we're going to use lines to create a sense of texture. Now to review, lines are one of our basic elements of art, and we use lines to create shapes, we use lines to create texture, and we even use lines to create value as well, other elements of art. And to review, there's some simple lines that you can make, and one is a straight line that's horizontal. You can make a straight line that's vertical. You can make a straight line that is also diagonal. Along with those three, you can make a wavy line. You can make a zigzag line. Or you can make a broken line as well. And we use all these different lines for different things. Maybe we use our straight lines to create the shapes of buildings. You might use a wavy line to describe how the ocean waves are moving. You might use a zigzag line to draw mountains in the background. And you might use a broken line to describe the pathway of something like a bumblebee in your picture. So we'll be using some different lines, and we'll be using them intentionally to create a sense of texture on some animals. And as we've learned already, we can use simple shapes to create our animals. So I'm thinking of an animal that has a very distinct texture. And so I'm thinking of its body, and I'm going to draw an oval to describe the shape of its body. And then I'm going to draw more of a circle for the head. And then I'm going to draw two more ovals for the feet. And I'm thinking of another animal that's similar to this one, but a little bit smaller. So I'm going to draw a smaller oval for its body. And then I'm going to draw a smaller circle for its head. And I'm going to draw some smaller ovals for its feet. And I'm thinking of these animals, they're prickly animals. And so now I want to add the features. So this is when you want to think about erasing some lines and then redrawing some of these shapes so they attach to your animal's body. And then maybe even adding some details, some eyes, some ears, and then you can erase that shape that you used to make it in the first place. And then we want to describe the animal's texture. And so on the left, I'm thinking of a porcupine. So one way I can create a porcupine's texture is by using a bold zigzag line that goes from the head all the way to the tail. And I can make even a couple more to create the sense that that texture is round as well and helping describe the form of the creature's body. And then from here, I can erase the lines that I used to create the shape. And then once you have your lines how you like them, you can even go over them with a marker, make them even more bold. Just like that. And on the right, we're going to make another smaller prickly animal. So we're going to create a similar texture, but use a different kind of line. So for this creature, I'm thinking of a hedgehog, which are a lot like porcupines, but just a little bit smaller. And their spikes have a little bit of a different texture. I actually think they have a pointed nose, so let's make that nose a little more pointed too. And don't be afraid to use your eraser once you've kind of figured out your shapes and you start drawing your features a little more detailed. Draw some little ears. I'll erase the part where the shapes overlap. So for the hedgehog, hedgehogs are prickly as well. But I want to describe that kind of spiky texture using a different kind of line. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use multiple straight lines that go from head the tail, and then filling in the body with even more to help describe the form of the hedgehog. And then I could go over this with marker as well to make the lines darker and more bold if I'd like to. And then we have some other lines. So let's make one more creature, and then we're going to add some wavy lines to help describe an idea about this creature. So I'm thinking about a creature that lives out in the woods. It has an oval body. It has this little circle head. This animal is a mammal, just like the other two. And then this animal has a big tail, so I'm going to make the tail kind of like an big almond shape. And then from here, I'll do the features again. So I'll draw the eyes, maybe draw a little nose, start drawing the mouth. This animal has little ears as well. And then similar feet to this animal, but maybe I'll draw some toes this time. And then this is where you can erase those lines once you don't need those simple shapes anymore. And then this animal is a skunk, and it's a furry animal, but it doesn't have spikes, so we want to make it furry, but we use a smaller kind of zigzag line. And then they have a stripe going down their back, so we'll actually use a different kind of zigzag to create the stripe. And then some more zigzags to describe the texture of the rest of the body. Some pupils in the eye. And then those same zigzag lines going around the tail. And then the stripe, we can draw that stripe climbing up that tail as well. And if there's one thing you know about skunks, is they smell. So now we can use our wavy lines, not to describe a shape or a form, but you can use lines to also describe an idea. So now we know that these wavy lines tell us that this skunk stinks. So remember, you can use lines to describe textures of your animals once you've designed and created those animals using your simple shapes. Try to draw 3 animals on your own that are different and use different lines for different textures. Until next time, keep drawing.